Today we're going to learn about some box plots and what range is. We're also going to learn about an IQR, which is the interquartile range, and it uses a box plot, okay? But first, let's grab our pen and paper and get ready to start these notes. Remember, today is Unit 1, Day 4, all right? So, let's jump right in. What is the code we use? U1D4, Unit 1, Day 4, and we are still talking about data, okay? But today we're going to focus on box plots and range. All right. Now, before I jump into box plots, I really want to do a quick review of some of the things we learned last class about our graphs when they're skewed, and then I'm going to compare that to a box plot. So if I start off with something that looks kind of like a histogram, I'm going to make this one not have bars. It's going to be nice and smooth. We've drawn this many times here. So let's go ahead and make a y and x value. And here I'm going to start down here. I'm going to shoot up really fast, and then I'm going to come shooting down right here. Okay? So we know that this is, we're going to call this a histogram. Histogram. Histograms usually have bars that you can actually see. A lot of times the bars will be flat on the top, so it'll be less smooth than what I'm drawing here. But you can get the general idea. It takes a long time for me to draw a bar graph, a histogram. It's very quick when we do it in Desmos on the computer. But so when we do it by hand, I like to make the curved line. Now, something that I do want to remind us is we also know that this is what? Stretched to the right. So it is right skewed. Okay? Right skew. Now, I remember that to find my mode, I had to go to the highest part of the graph. So my mode would be the x value right here. Then my median slides a little bit down the hill. Okay, my median used to be right here. It slides a little bit down the hill, so now my middle of the data is going to be here. So that would be this x value here for the median. And then my mean slides the most down the hill, okay? So that mean would be right here for this x value here, and that's my mean. That's a quick review of what we talked about last class. Now, what would happen if I took this same exact data and I tried to make a box plot? Now, this time, what's weird about a box plot is it no longer cares about my counts. So my y value is usually my frequency. Oops, I should change this. My frequency. That's just a fancy word for counts. Box plots don't care. All they care about is middles. So if I took the same exact data and I wanted to draw a box plot with it, I would start with my number line. This number line, this x line, isn't going to change at all. Then my starting point and my ending point are going to stay the same. And for box plots, I just do lines here. So this is going to be my minimum here, because we know it's same over here. If I wanted to label these, we all know that this right here is the minimum, and this here is the maximum. All right. So same with my box plot. I'm going to have a minimum value on the left. This is going to be my min. And on the right, I'm going to get my maximum value. Okay? Now, we are also going to have my median. So my median, remember, was slid over just a little bit. So my median is here. Let's go with black. Let's draw. It was about this diff. I'm actually using my fingers. I'm using my fingers to measure this on my screen here. So my median's about here. And so we know this is going to be the median. Now, what's weird about a box plot is it wants to do two more cuts. And it wants to cut, this is going to be the top half of data here. This is the top half. And this is the bottom half. So now it really wants to know what's the middle of the top half, which because it's stretched, because it's right skew, is actually going to be right about here. And this one's going to be right about here. So then I make a box out of the middle part, and then I have arms coming off. And so this is what a box plot, it's called a box and whisker plot sometimes. So this is the box part, these are the whisker parts. And what you need to know about these is that my point right here, this point here is going to be my Q1. This is something new that we haven't talked about. Q1, and this is going to be Q3. Guess what? This middle one is Q2. But we already had another name for that. We already learned that name. So on a box plot, actually, we already know half of this stuff. We know what my min is. We know what a max is. We know what a median is. It's just these ideas about the middle of the bottom half and the middle of the top half, okay? And also, you can tell that this is right skewed because the right side is so much stretched from the left side. So the right has a stretch. It must be right skewed, okay? So let's go down and actually define all of these. So Q1 equals quartile. Quartile 1. All right? That's its title. And that is the middle of the bottom half. All right? And then next is Q2. So Q2 equals quartile 2. And that is literally the median. That's the middle of the middle. Remember when we defined this? That's literally just the middle of everything. And then our last one is Q3. That is quartile 3. And that is the middle of the top half. All right. So these are our main things that we need to know from a box and whisker plot, a box plot. Now, we've covered box plot. Nice, pat yourself on the back. It's time to tackle range. Range is actually really simple. So range is really only talking about the distance between my minimum number and my maximum number, and the distance between my Q1 and my Q3. So this distance right here, this distance is going to be called my IQR, and this distance right here is going to be called my range. And how do we actually calculate those? The way we calculate those is IQR, IQR, which stands for inter, let's slide over more, interquartile range is literally my Q3 minus my Q1. That's it. Super simple. Take your Q3 minus your Q1, and your range, your normal range, is just going to be your maximum minus your minimum. And this is literally all we need to know about range for today. We're going to be calculating this in our exit ticket with some examples that I'll help you with, but these are the main things that we are talking about today. All right, I hope that helped. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out. I'll help you next week, okay?